All right, boys. I have just played about an hour of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. This isn't a full review. This is a first impressions video, and I do think we do have to hash this out. Like before you buy the game, before you know anything about it, before you look at the reviews, you need to understand that this game is great. Okay, all the criticisms we have been told about this game for the past year have just completely fallen by the wayside. Okay. Ignore people like trying to call this a kid's game, ignore people trying to say it's too easy, ignoring people complaining about the difficulty or like what you do in the game. Like, this isn't really a 2D platformer. Okay. It's a 2D game, but it's a 2D game where you're essentially thrown into a level and you get to interact with the things in the level. So it's not really about you know, accomplishing challenges or like beating like a tough platforming stage. It's more about interacting with the world in like a bunch of fresh interesting ways. It reminds me a lot of something like Pokemon Snap, actually, where you have this ability to like interact with the environment. You have to engage with the environment to accomplish an objective, and then you clear the objective, and then you kind of move on to the next level. Like each level in this is dense, it's packed to the gills with interesting secrets, things you can interact with, things you can play around with, and no two levels are the same. Now, the reason I wanted to produce this video was to talk about the weird dissonance between like the reviewers and like the fans, because going into this we were told that the game was casual, it was too easy, there was no real challenge to it, there was no like real value to be had. And on a surface level, all of that is absolutely true. But the problem with that assertion is this idea that a game being easy means that it's automatically bad. And especially coming from game journos, who are typically the kind of people who like glaze easy story driven games. The simple fact of the matter is, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is a game where you cannot die. However, like all good feel games, it is so well made and so engaging and so charming that it's not something that you would even really process or take notice of. Like, the simple fact of the matter is, the game is built around its lack of challenge. You are not like going up against enemies or struggling to beat them or getting to combat scenarios. This is a game about exploration and experimentation. Like, you are engaging with the world and figuring out how to navigate it. And because of the way the game is designed, doing so is immensely satisfying and fun. And it does not get repetitive or boring because the game has so much variety and so many ways in which you can interact with the world. And because the game has lots of content because of like the way the achievement system works, in which you have to like mess around with the systems to see what's possible in game. Like, you'll end up experimenting a lot. It is endlessly entertaining to say find yourself in a volcano with a bunch of milds, just like splitting them in half, and you know as, and doing it so much that that you end up getting shot up the volcano, right? like like again, simple things like that. It's so simple, it's not all that complicated. It is straightforward, and yet it has this nuance and personality to it that like surpasses, I think, a typical 2D platformer. Because this is not a 2D platformer in the sense that like Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, or Yoshi's Story is, right? This is not like Woolly World. This is not like Crafted World. This very much is its own thing. It's its own subgenre of 2D platformer. It's not an action platformer. It's more like a adventure game, right? Like, it's more about exploring and figuring things out than like raw platforming. To me, the criticism this game has gotten really reminds me of what happened with Princess Peach Showtime. When like pre-release, we got all this coverage from all these YouTubers and all these journalists being acting confused about the game as a concept. Like, well, what genre is it? Like, is it actually going to be challenging, or is it going to be a kids game? Is it going to be straightforward? Like, what do you actually do in the game? And like a lot of people early on were trying to write it off as a mini game collection, but the game is simply too complex for that. The game has you going through these situations with a variety of different powers, and going through all these different stages with like their radically different mechanics and features, right? Like Princess Peach Showtime had a similar structure to this, in which it was more about like having this sense of like wonder and discovery, and just having these cool, like engaging things happening that you just have to deal with. Like the game didn't really need to be all that challenging to be compelling. And Mysterious Book seems to be borrowing a lot of that same design philosophy. This has been a problem since Kirby's Epic Yarn, because I remember when that game came out and the entire gaming journalism industry rallied to try and decry the game, crying about how it was too easy and how you can't die in it and how Nintendo was becoming overly casualized. And when you actually play Kirby's Epic Yarn, first of all, you realize how great of a game it actually is. But second of all, when you engage with it enough, you start understanding where the difficulty actually is. It's in like discovering things. It's in like maxing out your score. Like there are methods in which Goodfeel utilizes to like make the game very easy and very accessible to first time players, while still maintaining a very high skill ceiling for like more experienced ones. And we've been seeing that consistently in like all of their games since, with like Woolly World and Crafted World having the collectibles, Crafted World having that super secret like true final boss, and now we're seeing that with like Mysterious Book and Princess Peach Showtime, where like on the surface, it would be easy to write these games off as too easy or too simplistic or brain dead. But in actuality, these games have achievement systems, and they have incentive for you to come back and play stages over and over and over again. And the more you play stages, the more you start appreciating just how dynamic and how interesting the games are, especially visually. Because Good Feel absolutely is low key one of Nintendo's best visual teams. They really nail that cartoony aesthetic in a way that I think no other Nintendo partner does, where they really are able to make something come off like an actual lived in world and setting, and just give it all this like really unique charm. Like this isn't a trait like exclusive to Mysterious Book. This is something I've been saying for a long time, but like the simple fact of the matter is that these games are gorgeous, and it's felt like for the past several years that people have just been kind of writing off and ignoring the company and everything they've been accomplishing. I'm not sure how successful Mysterious Book is going to be just yet, but I think it's safe to say that all the people that were crying about this game pre-release, people like RGT85 and like the IGN people and Nintendo Life, like I feel like anybody who's actually spent any amount of time with this game at all has come away with like really glowing impressions of it. Like this game really demonstrates, I think, the unique qualities of Goodfeel and Yoshi as a whole. And I think has kind of cemented that Goodfeel will be the Yoshi team going forward. Like it is shocking how the last three Yoshi games have been radically different from one another. Like we went from Woolly World to Crafted World to this, and each of them have completely different mechanics. They have completely different art styles. They have completely different vibes, and like it's kind of shocking how they're all Yoshi games made by the same developer, and yet like all are so radically different. Like I would be very surprised if Goodfeel doesn't go on to be like the primary Yoshi team going forward, because they seem to be nailing the exact aesthetic that Nintendo was going for with these releases. But the thing I've noticed with like the coverage of this game and like the hype leading up to it is that you had people like Nintendine, and you had like RGT85, and you had IGN. Like you had these guys coming out, and they tried to say that like this game is for babies. This game is for little kids. Like this is something for younger audiences, and this isn't a serious game that like serious gamers can play or take seriously. And first of all, that's not true. And second of all, The simple fact of the matter is, like, these people complain about every single little game that comes out. After like how they handled Metroid Prime 4 and Mario Tennis Fever and like Kirby Air Riders and like Mario Kart World, which is sold like 15 million units now. Like, after all of that, like, why exactly is anyone still listening to these people? Is just my mindset on this. Like, this was the one game that I felt like might not do all that well. I thought this might be a lazy release. I thought this might be like, made by a C team that didn't know what they were doing. And that's why I wasn't hyped about it before it came out. But now that I've seen it, now that I've played it, now that I've experienced it, like, the game's great. So all of like the weird concern trolling that we saw from the community is going to fall apart. Like, the game seems to have a lot of positive word of mouth. This is the major Switch release before Star Fox comes out next month. Like, this is a game that's like coasting off the success of Super Mario Galaxy the movie, and it's just something that I don't think anybody really saw coming. Now, I don't think this game will be nearly as popular or successful as Pokemon Pokepia or some of the other Switch 2 games that have already come out, but I think it's going to be quite a bit more popular than most people realize. I think Goodfeel has kind of cemented themselves as like a pretty big Nintendo partner and really should be taken a lot more seriously going forward. Whatever their name is attached to everything, I just get like really excited. And the moment I heard they were working on this, like, all my doubts regarding the project just ebbed away. And now that it's actually out and now that I've actually played it, it's been something that I've been like really anxious to get back into playing. It's something that like I really really enjoy and will be recommending to people. It's an interesting game because I do think to a certain extent this isn't something that will appeal to everyone, but if you're a fan of like Yoshi and if you're a fan of like these kinds of like low key cozy platformers, like, if you're a fan of like older Goodfield projects, like, I just don't understand why you would have like any reservations about this at all. Like, this is something like the more I play it, the more I feel is going to be like one. It's going to be one of the big sleeper hits on Switch 2, right? It's not going to be the highest selling thing, but it's something that I think a lot of people are going to be growing up, are going to grow up playing and grow really attached to. And I think people need to understand that there is room in the market for stuff like this because too often we see people in the gaming community say that games need to be critically acclaimed or they need to sell 20 million units or they need to be system sellers. And like, that's just not true. Like, games need to think about like how to like appeal to different groups of people. And I think Yoshi has been doing a very, very good job at like just being this like cutesy, approachable, easy to play platformer with a surprising depth of mechanics that just makes it endlessly enjoyable to play. Going forward, I don't want to see so much skepticism regarding this kind of project because a lot of people saw this and saw the aesthetic. They saw it was a 2D platformer. And as a result of that, they instantly wrote it off. Like, one of the things I saw people saying about this was that it would be a much more exciting, interesting project if it was 3D. Like, that's their big idea for Yoshi. That instead of just like, oh, just make it 3D, like that's it. Like, instead of just appreciating this game for what it is and like what it's doing that's unique to the 2D platformer genre, let's instead like, oh yeah, it'd be way better if it was fully 3D. And it's just, to me, I think this just speaks volumes about the mindset that people are in, where they don't really have any capability to appreciate something like this, like something that is more artistic, something that like tries to be a little bit innovative, something that tries thinking outside the box, something that puts a lot of effort when it comes to like enemy design and when it comes to like the world. Like, this feels like a very unique game that I think should be given a lot more praise than it's currently getting. And I'm noticing that everyone who's played the game has been completely over the moon about it. There were a handful of like dissenters who were trying to rag on it. We saw people like try and do the like my kid didn't like this routine, but by and large, I think most players are very very happy with this release. I think we really need to think about like what makes a good game because too often I see people saying it has to have a mature story, it has to be 3D, it has to be open world, it has to have guns, balls, or cars in it. And things like this, like for a lot of people, is just like immediately off-putting. I saw RGT85 like downplaying this game while glazing Forza Horizon 6. Okay, a game that's been copy and pasted for decades. Okay, like it's like they just put it in a copy machine and then they just slap like a new number on it and then voila, brand new for Forza Horizon. Yoshi is not like that, and I really want it to be commonly understood in the community just how much more value something like this has over for Forza Horizon 6 or WWE 2K26 or like um, GTA 6 or like any of these like repetitive, generic, uninspired AAA games. Like there's too many to name really. Uh because this game tries to be different and it tries to be innovative and it tries to do something different with the franchise, like that should be celebrated. Like this is something that we really should be acknowledging as a huge epic W for Nintendo, and yet the vast majority of Nintendo fans going into this just weren't excited for this at all, and that is absolutely a shame. I'm Harman Smith. Check out my books at my website. Support my Patreon. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all next time. Thank you for your support.